The end of China's one-child policy. China's one-child policy, implemented in 1979, was an unprecedented population control measure that reportedly prevented 400 million births. While successful in controlling population growth and environmental impact, it led to significant social issues, including gender imbalance with 60 million more men than women due to female infanticide and sex-selective abortions. In 2015, the policy was relaxed to allow 2 children, partly because it had become largely redundant as couples who were both only children could already have 2 kids. The policy's effectiveness is debated against human rights concerns and individual freedom. Film noir. Film noir emerged in Hollywood after World War II, marking a shift from pre-war optimistic films to darker, pessimistic narratives. Rather than a genre, it was a movement characterized by distinctive lighting, tone, and somber mood, primarily occurring in the 1940s and early 1950s. Paul Schrader identified 4 main traditions: war and post-war disillusionment films, post-war realism, German expressionist influence, particularly in lighting, and the hard-boiled tradition inspired by American literature. The movement reflected society's post-war disillusionment and was influenced by German directors who immigrated to America, bringing their expressionist techniques to Hollywood. Mungo Man, discovered in 1974 by Professor Jim Bowler near Lake Mungo, Australia, represents one of the most significant archaeological findings in Australian history. This 50-year-old hunter-gatherer, who stood 1.7 m tall, lived approximately 40,000 to 62,000 years ago. Dating remains controversial. His remains show signs of ritual burial, including red ochre sprinkling and carefully positioned crossed hands, the world's oldest known ritual burial. His physical characteristics, including worn teeth and arthritic right elbow, suggest he used tools like the Woomera spear thrower. The discovery has sparked debates about human migration patterns and Australia's early settlement. Doctors' rights and drinks. In 1922, Dr. John Davin campaigned for Congress representing the Medical Rights League, fighting for doctors' right to prescribe beer medicinally during Prohibition, 1920. While the law allowed prescribing limited amounts of liquor for medical purposes, beer's status remained unclear. Attorney General Mitchell Palmer initially ruled in doctors' favor, allowing medicinal beer prescriptions. This sparked controversy between prohibitionists, who suspected doctors of undermining the law, and physicians defending their prescription rights. Though the American Medical Association had previously denied alcohol's medical value in 1917, many doctors began advocating for alcohol's therapeutic benefits during Prohibition. Hello, happiness. Research shows that money doesn't guarantee happiness beyond meeting basic needs, even in wealthy nations. The key factors contributing to happiness include strong family relationships, social connections, and friendships, with one friend providing equivalent happiness to $50,000. Having control over one's life, particularly at work, also significantly impacts well-being. Happy people tend to be more resilient, assertive, and live longer, as demonstrated in a long-term study of nuns. Experts recommend focusing on positive aspects of life, avoiding excessive worry about the future, maintaining loving relationships, and balancing work with personal life. What makes us happy? Research shows that 50 to 60% of happiness is genetically determined, linked to personality traits like emotional stability, sociability, and conscientiousness. Contrary to popular belief, wealth doesn't guarantee happiness beyond escaping poverty, and lottery winners often struggle with long-term contentment. True happiness comes from taking control of one's life, maintaining a positive attitude, and having a sense of purpose. Active engagement in meaningful activities, community involvement, and helping others contribute to well-being. Interestingly, directly pursuing happiness may be counterproductive. It often emerges as a byproduct of making others happy and living purposefully. Happiness surveys give oldies plenty to smile about. Traditional economic measures like GDP are being supplemented by happiness indices, with Bhutan pioneering its Gross National Happiness Index in 2008. Research uses 2 measures: global, overall life satisfaction, and hedonic, daily emotional state. Surprising findings show that while wealth contributes to happiness, cultural factors play a significant role. Most notably, happiness increases with age despite physical decline, with life becoming easier after age 46 in most countries. This is particularly relevant as populations age globally, suggesting that older workers' reduced physical capabilities may be offset by their greater emotional stability and contentment. The psychology in happiness. Psychologists have shifted focus to studying positive mental states alongside mental illness, though some warn against overemphasizing happiness at the expense of other emotions. Research shows humans are remarkably adaptable, typically returning to baseline happiness levels after most life events. True satisfaction comes from pursuing meaningful goals rather than acquiring possessions. However, having too many choices can lead to stress and dissatisfaction. Experts emphasize that forcing positivity isn't universally beneficial. Some people function better embracing their natural pessimism. Living according to one's values, rather than seeking universal approval, is key to genuine happiness. Decision-making and happiness. Research shows that having more choices doesn't necessarily lead to greater happiness. People can be categorized as maximizers, who seek the best possible option, or satisficers, who settle for good enough. Studies reveal that maximizers, despite their thorough research and comparisons, tend to be less happy, more prone to regret, and more likely to experience depression than satisficers. This is partly due to opportunity costs, the loss of potential benefits from unchosen alternatives. The more options available, the greater the potential for regret and dissatisfaction. Paradoxically, limiting choices in non-crucial decisions may increase happiness. Inspired by mimicking Mother Nature. Biomimicry, the practice of emulating nature's solutions in technology and design, is gaining momentum as companies seek efficient, environmentally friendly innovations. Modern computing power and manufacturing capabilities now allow for complex natural geometries to be replicated, potentially reducing energy consumption by 30 to 40%. The approach operates on 3 levels, mimicking natural shapes and structures, like lotus leaf-inspired self-cleaning paint, imitating natural processes, like seabird-inspired desalination, and viewing companies as organisms within ecosystems, using waste as resources. Companies like Daimler Chrysler and L'Oreal are successfully implementing biomimicry in their products. The pearl. Pearls have been prized throughout history, from Roman nobility to Persian medicine. There are 3 types: natural, cultured, and imitation. Natural pearls form when mollusks coat irritants with nacre, while cultured pearls use surgically implanted beads. The pearl growing process takes several years, with only 5% of harvested pearls being high quality. Historically, the Persian Gulf produced the finest natural pearls until oil discovery in the 1930s disrupted the industry. Value depends on size, shape, color, surface quality, orient, and luster. While cultured pearls dominate today's market, Bahrain maintains a ban on them to preserve its heritage. Mammoth kill 2. Mammoths were elephant-like proboscideans that lived from 5 million to 4,500 years ago. The extinction of these and other North American megafauna around 11,000 years ago remains debated. 3 main theories exist. The overkill hypothesis suggests modest human hunting could have eliminated populations within 1,000 years. The hyperdisease theory proposes human-introduced pathogens caused mass deaths. And the climate change theory attributes extinction to habitat loss during the Pleistocene's unstable climate. While archaeological evidence of human hunting is limited, computer simulations support the overkill model's plausibility. Rainwater harvesting. During a severe drought in southern Sri Lanka affecting 1.6 million people, the village of Mithikandia implemented a successful rainwater harvesting initiative with Practical Action South Asia. The project installed 5,000-liter storage tanks to collect roof runoff, costing $195 per system, with communities contributing half the cost through labor and materials. Unlike previous top-down approaches, this project focused on building local skills and community management. The initiative proved technically successful, providing households with up to twice the water supply during dry months and improving quality of life. though maintaining financial sustainability remained challenging. The persuaders. Modern persuasion techniques are sophisticated and pervasive across retail, advertising, and sales. Supermarkets strategically design layouts, use sensory manipulation, music, aromas, and loyalty cards to increase spending time and purchases. Advertisers employ emotional appeals, celebrities, humor, and relatable scenarios to influence consumers. Professional salespeople use psychological techniques like building rapport, mirroring behavior, and assuming the sale. They ask questions to understand customer needs while subtly steering towards purchase decisions. Despite consumers' awareness of these tactics, they remain effective through careful psychological manipulation and strategic implementation. We have star performers. While companies often believe competing for top talent is crucial, the star system approach of hiring established high performers can be counterproductive. Research shows star performers often underperform in new environments, as their success is largely dependent on organizational systems and context. Studies revealed that 70% of performance variation is attributed to company-specific settings, not individual talent. Examples from investment banking and football, comparing Arsenal/Manchester United with Chelsea/Real Madrid, demonstrate that developing talent within strong organizational systems is more effective than buying established stars. Success comes from growing talent internally rather than poaching stars. Plant scents. Plants emit various organic molecules serving multiple purposes. Floral scents attract pollinators, while vegetative volatiles act as defense mechanisms. When injured, plants release compounds that deter pests or attract predatory insects that attack herbivores. For example, pine trees exude defensive resins, and tobacco plants emit different volatile blends day and night. These scents are economically important in agriculture and floriculture, affecting crop pollination and ornamental value. While traditional breeding often sacrificed fragrance for other traits, genetic engineering offers potential solutions to enhance both floral scents and plant defense mechanisms. Roller coaster. Roller coasters evolved from 16th-century Russian ice slides to today's high-tech thrill rides, like Kingda Ka, which reaches 128 miles per hour. Unlike trains, roller coasters rely on gravity and momentum, using chain mechanisms to climb initial hills. America's coaster history began with the Manch-Chunk-Summit Hill Railroad in 1829, originally a coal transport system turned thrill ride. The 1910s to 1920s marked the golden age with about 1,500 coasters in North America, featuring technological advances like unstop wheels. However, the Great Depression and World War II severely impacted the industry, leading to widespread closures and significantly fewer coasters today. The last march of the emperor penguins. Emperor penguins, remarkable birds surviving extreme Antarctic conditions, face an existential threat from climate change. With 46 known colonies totaling 600,000 adults, these birds depend critically on sea ice for breeding, molting, and accessing their krill food source. Historical data from Dumont D'Urville Station shows how even slight temperature increases can have colony populations. While Antarctic sea ice currently remains stable, warming trends suggest dire consequences. Predictions indicate an 81% decline in some colonies by 2100, with colonies north of 70 degrees latitude potentially disappearing if global temperatures rise by 2 degrees Celsius. Environmentally friendly vehicles. In the early 1990s, California's Air Resources Board pushed for zero-emissions vehicles, prompting automakers to develop electric models. However, manufacturers were accused of inadequately promoting these vehicles while protesting regulations. The 1990s saw Americans favoring SUVs due to low gas prices until the 2000s energy crisis renewed interest in efficient vehicles. Toyota's Prius, launched in 1997, became the first mass-produced hybrid car. Tesla Motors' 2008 Roadster proved consumer demand for electric vehicles, inspiring other manufacturers like GM to develop alternatives. This marked a significant shift in the automotive industry towards more sustainable transportation options.